we're going to try out the new Waves BB Tubes Magma plugin, which is a saturation plugin. I love saturation plugins. I think they're the best, and you can do all sorts of things with them, and I think you can't get enough of them. So this is why I got it. I bought it straight off. I didn't even think of trying it out. I got the free plugin version, but I didn't even touch that. Maybe we'll touch it to see a few difference here and there, but I'm not really interested right now. So what we're gonna do, the first thing that I always do to all plugins that I use when I get them first hand, is try them out, especially if they're effects. I'm gonna try them out on a test oscillator. So what I've got now, except for these loops that I loaded so we can try out a few instruments as well later on, I've got a test oscillator channel, so we can try it out with a simple sine wave, which is the purest tone that we can get. So we can actually see exactly on screen what is happening. Now, before we start though, make sure you get your headphones on. Make sure you use monitors, any kind of audio device that helps you hear those subtleties as best as you can. So we're gonna start off now. So this is my test tone, which is the basic Logic test tone, nothing fancy. It's just a pure sine wave, and we're gonna hear it in a second. So I'm gonna turn it on, and this is the sine wave. So it's probably a little annoying for you guys. I'm not sure if the sound is too loud, but I think it should be fine. So we're gonna put the sine wave up, and I'm gonna get the plugin up. This is the Magma BB Tubes plugin, and I'm going to just load a little EQ just to see the wave moving, which I just like to see it graphically. It's not that we actually need it. We should use our ears. I know this is what everybody says every time, but you know, I like visual things as well. So this is my test tone. Okay, I might turn it a little bit so we don't get too crazy with it. Here we go. So this is the knobs. So I'm not gonna talk too much. I'm just gonna turn the knobs up, and we'll just hear it as we go. So I'm gonna turn on the plugin, and I'll try this one first. Okay, as you can see straight off, we have a lot of harmonics added, which is a typical thing of saturation plugins. And if I'm not wrong, I'm just gonna check it again. I might turn this down even more. Okay, here we go. So actually, I might keep it like this because it's gonna change the way it actually reacts. Okay, so as you can see, I don't want to make it too annoying. As you can see, we have second harmonics, third harmonics, and a few other odd harmonics, which are here and there, which is pretty cool. Now we're gonna try the beast mode and see what that does. So I'm gonna start slowly, gradually. As you can see, you get a third harmonics first of all, and now slowly you get even more harmonics until you reach to even 20k harmonics, and you get this very interesting sound. Now let's try adding Beast and Beauty together and see what happens. Okay, there's an interesting thing happening when I turn on full mode, both Beauty and Beast knobs, which I might guess it's something to do with oversampling problems, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I just wanna check again, because as you can see, when you turn it up, so up to here, everything just slowly rises, and at a certain stage, you kind of get this very weird thing happening with. You see those harmonics, the even harmonics kind of get lowered down, and the odd harmonics get pulled up, which is kind of weird. And I think it might have to do with how how much I'm pulling the plugin. I don't know. So very interesting to know and to see what happens. Okay, so we kind of got the idea of what these two knobs do, which basically are the beauty should be the even harmonics, and the beast is basically the odd harmonics, more or less. So so I'm just trying to understand with you guys. I did not read the manual. I should read the manual. I know I usually always read manuals when I get new software, but today I was a little bit lazy and I wanted to do it with you, and I wanted to actually understand it without just going through papers. I just wanted to hear things. Okay, so this is the two main knobs of this plugin. Of course, we need to make sure the levels have to be right. So of course I've kind of pulled this very hard, which is probably not what you should do. You should probably try and settle before the what it says here, the 100 level, which I'm not sure what do they mean by 100, but maybe 100%. But we're trying it out. So we're trying everything about this plugin as much as we can. Now, another thing that I want to try is the bass relief. So let's see what happens when I turn the bass relief on. So I'm gonna start off the test tone again. So we got harmonics now, just the beast harmonics, and I'm gonna start off the bass relief and see what happens. So for the moment nothing happens, probably because we don't have a lot of sound on the bass side. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull down the frequency, because we're at 1000 hertz now. So I'm gonna go about, say for example, 100 hertz, which is again why you should use headphones or proper monitors to actually hear this, because otherwise you're not gonna hear anything. But so this is the pure 100 hertz sound. Okay, now I'm gonna pull up the BB tubes, and we get very nice harmonics on the top. So what I'm gonna try now, I'm going to, and always, as you can see, we get the first harmonic is 300 hertz, so is the third harmonic. Okay, so what I'm gonna try is I'm gonna relieve a bit of bass. Okay, so it kind of looks like a low pass filter, which it's kind of strange. I mean, why calling it bass relief when it's just a low pass filter? At least that's what it looks to me. Let's try and bring up the even harmonics and put the bass relief on and see what happens. Okay, again, it looks to me like it's basically a low pass filter. So maybe it has a specific curve which is, very very good sounding. I'm not sure, but for the most, that's what it looks to me. So the bass sounds are staying and the high sounds are going away, basically, which is kind of not what I would expect from a knob that is called bass relief. I would think that it's something to, in a way, remove a bit of bass, but I mean that's another topic. Anyway, so now we've got an idea of bass relief. Let's just try and pull even more down the frequency. So I want to go really low. So let's go, like, for example, 50, which would probably be a nice place where to have your kick drum. So this is 50 hertz with Beauty and Beast harmonics added. Okay, very nice sound. I would say it would be a very nice 808 bass style sort of sound, which you would need for, say for example, hip hop, or a very nice trap beat and that sort of thing. So if I remove this, as you can hear, or if you're not using headphones or proper monitors, you cannot hear anything at the moment. It's just a pure 50 hertz sine wave. But if I add the BB Tubes Magma, everything comes to life, which is really, really cool. And it's something as, you know, as a producer, it's really important to have those harmonics added to a sound, especially to very, very low sounds. So let's try a few extra knobs. Now, for example, we haven't tried the type A, type B sort of style, which I think it's probably a different curve of harmonics. So let's see what happens. Okay, so for the most, it looks to me, and even from my eyes, what I can see is it kind of lowers by, say, 5 dB or so the you know, the extra harmonics that the plugin is putting up, which is interesting. I don't see huge differences in. I can see a small harmonic here, kind of moving a little different from the others, but other than that, kind of looks. I mean, it feels to me that it's, you know, there's that extra sparkle at the top, but other than that, everything is just pushed up, which, I mean, it could be a dramatic difference for, you know, different styles or whatever. But as you can see, even the meter here, it's jumping up, which is kind of odd. I mean, you would think that, you know, the level of saturation would be the same, but doesn't look the same to me. So it's kind of odd. Anyway, let's try another thing. Transformer. So let's get the transformer off and on. Okay, so when I turn it off, it kind of feels a little bit smoother, the sound overall. And if I put it on, it sounds to me a little extra harsh. So that's probably, you know, that's probably a nice feature to have. It would be probably hard to actually tell in a mix when to turn it on and off, which is, you know, something I probably, knowing myself, I would probably keep it on all the time. I don't know, but maybe sometimes I would switch it on and off and see what happens. Anyway, so this is another thing, and let's put the bass relief back off. Yeah, so the transformer just makes it feel a little bit more smooth in general. Okay. Now another cool thing that we have is definitely the you know, dry and wet knob, which is something that I think all plugins should have. I mean, whether they are like a emulation of an analog piece of gear or a completely digital you know, plugin, I think every single plugin on the market should have this knob, which is, it's just an extra thing. I mean, we're not talking about wires here. Of course, we're talking about code, which I'm not saying it's so much different from wires and, you know, electrical things. But, I mean, I guess turning on and off a plugin from 0 to 100% is not extremely complicated. I'm not a, you know, I'm not a programmer, but I think should be something fairly easy compared to, you know, capturing the sound of a plugin or of a piece of gear. So that said, let's move on and let's try. Okay, we could work, like, we could try the sine wave with sensitivity and all that, but I think it would be more fun now to actually go and have a look at, you know, real sounding instruments, even though they're recorded. I mean, they're not real sound, they're just loops. But let's try the Magma with real instrument and see what happens. So we get, like, say for example, a drum. So I'm gonna load up this small drum loop. Okay, so this is the drum loop, dry as it is. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. Okay, so simple drum loop, nothing more, nothing less. I'm gonna add the Magma saturation and see what happens. I dialed in, you know, tweaked it before I was starting, just to see like a nice sound that I liked and see if you guys like it. That's without. With. Now I'm gonna turn down the volume because we need to have the same level, because otherwise we get, we don't get the idea of what's happening really. Still a little bit extra volume. Okay, so this, all right. Off. On. Okay, let's try and tweak a little bit the sound. I mean, I like this sort of style of, saturation where you get a little bit of distortion even on the bass drum, which is not something that everybody likes, but I kind of like it. It kind of feels a little bit more, heavy rock sort of style, which is, is something that I like a lot. So let's try and turn the sensitivity down, because it's something that it's making the plugin work a lot. And let's maybe add a little bit of beauty and see what happens. Okay, so the first thing I've noticed straight up is that the snare drum got a lot more saturation from the beauty than from the beast, which is kind of interesting, I'd say. Let's hear it again. So that's with the beauty added, 70%. Let's turn it off. So the snare sounds a lot more snappy without the beauty, but it kind of loses that, that air that kind of makes it drive a lot more. It makes it really nice sound. I really like that beauty saturation on the snare. Now, remember that I'm actually using the saturation, this plugin, on all of the drums. So maybe tweaking it for every single piece of the kit, it's gonna make things a lot more interesting. Now, we don't have time to do that today, but you should try it yourself and see what happens. Now let's try last thing, and then we're gonna move on a few other instruments. Let's try and remove the beast saturation, just keep the beauty and see what happens. So you can hear straight up that the snare drum got a lot more in-your-face sound without the plugin. But as soon as we turn the plugin on, we get that nice saturated tail on top of the snare, which is really, at the back of the snare, which is really, really nice. And one thing that I've noticed by removing the beast saturation is the fact that it kind of loses a little bit of drive. Now, we get a nice sound from the beauty saturation, but we don't get enough drive as with the beast. So I think we should really work with both of them and get to get a nice sound. So let's try again. I really like this sound right now. Maybe I could drive it a little bit more. Okay, so that's a really nice sounding drum with a nice, saturation, which just makes it a little bit more present, and it just gives it that extra sizzle, which I just love. Let's try another instrument. Let's try with this guitar. So this is the the dry guitar. just gonna put a dead center so you guys. Okay. Okay, so let's add the Magma plugin and see what happens. Off. On. Let's try and drive it a little more. I don't know if you can hear it, but you can hear that little break in the sound, just at the start of the picking, which I think can be really nice sometimes on a guitar. Let's try type A sound. Okay, I think this sizzle is too much. So type B just gives it that nice smooth top end. Let's remove transformer and see what happens. Okay, I like a lot more with the transformer on. Let's remove a bit of bass. I mean, bass relief. I like it a lot more like that. Let's try and drive it crazy and see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, even if you drive it a lot, you don't get that nasty saturation that you get sometimes with saturation plugins. And I think Waves have done a really nice job on this plugin. Now, I'm not getting paid by Waves for saying this. I'm not sponsored by Waves on any way. This is just my honest review on this plugin. I just bought it and I just wanted to try it out with you guys and see what this plugin is all about. So I really like the sound with this guitar. I'm just gonna put it back up where I've started, because I'm gonna need it for later for just, you know, an overall mix of sound. Let's try the acoustic guitar. So this is a normal acoustic guitar. Okay, so this is the loop. Let's turn the Magma plugin on and see what happens. So in this case, I dialed in just to get an extra tail from the sound. Not too much, but just enough to kind of make the sound move a little bit more into the time, which is something that sometimes you need, like to have that extra tail just to make the sound, you know, move forward. But you still get a little sizzle of saturation, which I think just works perfectly. And again, let's try and drive it crazy and see what happens. Now, considering the fact that the acoustic guitar is not an instrument that you usually saturate crazy, hearing it in this way with this sound on with this plugin, it really sounds amazing. I mean, I am really like it sounds great. You would not expect a saturation plugin to drive your instruments in such a nice way, even though they're so different from each other. It's just amazing. Like, I drive it and the plugin just responds in a very musical way, which is, again, it's just great. So I'm really, I think this plugin is gonna be one of my go-tos for the next few months. Let's try with the bass, which I think it's kind of, for me, bass and this type of plugin, it's something that I always work with. So let's try it with the bass and see what happens. So this is the original bass loop. Nice and clear. You can hear the strings, you can hear the fundamental note. You can also hear a little, defects in the sound, like in the moving the fingers, even though it's a fake bass. Okay, let's try and drive it. Let's add a little bit more beast. Okay. So maybe on the bass side of things, this plugin is a little bit more sensitive and it kind of responds a little worse than instruments that have a lot of top end. And what I mean by that is, you can hear it on inside the fundamental note of the bass. It kind of gets crackling and not very pleasing. So that is probably something that you can work around by using maybe the bass relief knob, even though we noticed that the bass relief is just more about, rolling off the high end, which is not really what you need in order to work this out. Maybe you can, have a workaround, like, for example, using this plugin in parallel and cutting off all the low end of the bass and just distorting the high end, which is something that you can do if you need it. But I mean, if I was Waves, I would have probably thought of a way of, rolling off the bass saturation, especially because that is something that I think it's very handy to have. I mean, of course, this is not the idea of the plugin. The plugin just works with whatever comes in, and they were not interested in dividing up, frequencies and all sorts of things, which is something a lot more complicated. So I'm not saying, it doesn't work. I'm saying to make it work with specific, low frequencies, you probably need a workaround. So, but, just if you want to use it for a saddle saturation on just the, the bass channel itself, it doesn't harm at all. Actually, it makes it sound really nice. So let's hear it again. I think it just gives it that nice top end as well. But if I drive it too much, then the low side of things kind of gets crazy. So now let's hear in context of a mix. So I just made like this. I just put up this four loops, which I think they work pretty fine together. And I mean, they're not like a crazy hit, but they work. They musically work. And so let's see what happens when we turn off and on all the Magma plugins, and just to have an idea of what it means to actually use it on all the instruments, and just to get an idea basically. So let's try it out. So this is the mix. Well, not mix because I haven't mixed it, but this is the four loops working together without the plugin. And this is all plugins on. Off. on. Okay, so as you can hear, you get a lot more drive from this plugin, which is really cool. And I think you can use it for a lot of things, for a lot of, in a lot of contexts, and maybe use it like spread it out in a whole mix. It won't harm anyone. It would probably work fine. So, of course, you need to tweak it in the right way. You need to use it, sparingly. You can't just, go crazy. But I think it kind of gives a nice subtle saturation to all of the instruments that we used, and I think you can use it in a lot of different contexts, a lot of different genres, and it's probably one of those tools that it's good to have in your bag of tools, even though you're not gonna use it every day. But it is a color, and music, it's all about colors. So if you guys love colors like I do, you should really check this plugin out. Again, as I said, I'm not sponsored by Waves. I am not paid by anyone to do this. I am doing it independently because I love plugins. I love talking about them. I love seeing with you guys, new plugins and checking them out, and sharing with you guys if I have a new plugin to show. And so I'm just happy to share with you guys. So if you have any comments, if you want to say your thoughts about this plugin, if you like it, don't like it, you hate it, you think it's a super crazy awesome plugin, or you think it's a super bleh plugin, just hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video helped you to see a little more about this plugin and consider it, whether it's something that you would need or not. Of course, it really depends on genres and things that you do with music. Not everybody needs saturation all the time with music. Maybe you use different things for saturation. Maybe you have hardware. Maybe you have, I don't know, crazy microphones. But if you're a guy like me that sometimes likes to use saturation in context of a mix, you should definitely try it out and see if it works for you. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Please check out my channel. There's a lot of goodies. There's a lot of tutorials. There's a lot of things to check out. A lot of music, original music, cover music, any sorts of things. Really check it out and let me know what you think, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.